A few weeks ago, you watched our club employ a new invasion plan for Gallipoli. The Allies made dramatic gains, but not enough to sweep the Ottomans from the peninsula. Today, we're hitting Johnny Turk for 6. My 29th Division suffered relatively few losses yesterday and is still more than capable of trekking from cop to break this campaign wide open. Now, I don't want to give away the show, but I can offer up some advice. Map makers of the world, get out your red ink. We're back.
Today on Little Wars TV, we have an unexpected postscript to our Gallipoli Wargame event. New orders from our 2 overall commanders, retired General Rhys Jones and Armchair historian Griffin Johnsen, have arrived to Little Wars TV headquarters. Oh boy, this is gonna be a wild finish.
Oh, whiz. Jolly good show.
I'm satisfied that we achieved a lot of our objectives, but if I look at it now, we didn't achieve our overall aim, which was we needed to actually clear more of those fortifications. However, although the 29th British Division was now able to move north, so if you were playing a day 2 or day 3, then it's possible that you could have taken those. What do we do now? Can we push on? I mean, the British wouldn't stop. They would probably say, well, day 2 is the do or die mission in here to see how far we can break it. My view would have been to push the 29th on the right-hand side to try and capture or to aim towards those coastal forts along the Narrows. You need to go as soon as you can on day 2, because if you wait and it takes an entire day, it's another day of Turkish reinforcements, of entrenching in, or things like that. So you'd want to capitalize on. Turks are probably still a bit disorganized, still trying to organize their defense in here. They'll be watching to where I go, so they won't be focused on a particular side. So again, just trying to maintain that surprise and momentum on that day too. So no, I wouldn't wait for the Navy, but certainly would be hoping they'll be able to get up there as early as possible.
As the game umpire responsible for setting up day 2 scenario, I found the orders from our overall Allied commander crystal clear. He's directed Ed's 29th Division to immediately march north and continue clearing the coast. Meanwhile, the bloodied Anzac forces below Saribert will dig in and hold the line. General Jones is expecting the Turks to continue their day 1 counterattack against the Kiwis near Gabid Tepe. But here, for the first time in our Gallipoli wargame, retired Lieutenant General Rhys Jones has guessed incorrectly. His powers of prediction were masterful on day 1, allowing the Allies to stay a step ahead. But our Ottoman players are about to throw him a major curveball. When I asked our Ottoman commander, played by Griffin, the armchair historian, for his day 2 operational orders, his response caught me off guard. He asked for the counsel of his local divisional officers on the front line, empowering them to recommend a plan of attack.
The war games I usually do are like skirmish level war games. So I've never actually been part of any kind of like large strategic operation like this. So it was very new to me in that way. If the commander's on the front line, they know the situation, they know the die rolls. I don't even know how the game is being played on that level. I trust them to make those kind of decisions, and I want them to feel like those troops under their control, if they need to rapidly respond. I don't like bureaucracy in command. Like if you're on the front line, you know something, you can change something to make a breakthrough, you go for it.
Sami Bey, played in our game by Tom, commands the powerful 9th Division. Tom's division is fresh and suffered few losses on day 1. Rather than continue yesterday's attack down the western shoreline of the peninsula, Tom proposes a bold new plan. He wants Mustafa Kemal's War Division to dig in at Saribert and use his own men to spearhead a massive counterattack down the Dardanelles. To achieve local superiority, he requests Griffin release Gregg's 7th Division to support the attack.
I didn't want to have like a whole chain of command where you need to give permission to do every little action. So if that's what the commanders wanted to do, I was happy to let them shut that down. And this could be a flaw on my commanding style, but also can be good at times. It depends on the context. But I just prefer to be offensive. The one thing I don't like in amphibious landings on defense is you don't want to let them get comfortable and build up and get a nice line of defense. I also wanted to allow the Ottoman commanders to have autonomy, which is kind of like the German off-track tactique where it's like, here's your mission. You can pursue the mission by any means necessary. So your mission is to close out any kind of beach landings and not let them gain momentum. However you want to do that, if you want to go send in the reserves or send in troops and try to shut that down, then I will permit that.
Taking the advice of his local subordinates on the front line, Griffin approves Tom's counterattack, but with one major caveat. He will only release one of Greg's 3 brigades initially. The others are ordered to remain in reserve, watching the Ottoman flank at Suvla Bay. Griffin is wary of exposing this flank in case of possible Allied follow-up landings. It's a sensible concern, especially with one of Tony's ad hoc naval brigades still on board their ships off the coast. I'm carrying over losses from our day 1 game. For each company lost on our first day, only half of them will be restored for action. On the Allied side, that means Ed's division is quite fresh, but Tony's 1st Naval Brigade is in tatters. Chris's Australian division is in fighting shape except for the 2nd Brigade, which took heavy losses on Z Beach. Dave's Anzac division is exhausted and in need of rest. The French under Miles saw no combat, but are still in Asia Minor, unable to cross until the minefields can be cleared. For the Turks, Mustafa Kemal's 19th Division suffered heavy losses yesterday, but the rest of Griffin's command is fresh and ready for battle. In fact, Greg's 7th Division will have grown overnight, adding 2 regiments. Given the inactivity both commanders intend for Sari Bair sector, I only see the need to set up one tabletop for a Day 2 wargame. This is the battle area that I'm going to recreate on a 7x5 tabletop at the club. As we zoom in closer on the battle area, you'll notice an isolated Ottoman unit in Midos. That's the 33rd Regiment, the one Griffin ferried across from Asia Minor on Day 1. Their role on Day 2 will be critical to the Ottoman battle plan. Here's the tabletop I've set up for the game. At the moment, only 2 brigades of Chris's 1st Australian Division are on the battlefield. If Chris was here to witness his predicament firsthand, I think he'd be dismayed.
You're probably surprised to see me. Well, you can thank Chris for this. It seems that the Australians, under Chris's command, were posted to Hill 340, right next to Midos. Unfortunately, he had prior engagements. Something about family? I don't know, but because I'm a team player, I said, sure, I will take your command. And then I saw the board. And I understand why he had family plans. It seems that Chris's Australians are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and unfortunately that rock and that hard place are both full of Turks.
So there you have it. Chris's fellow Anzac commander from Day 1, Dave, is stepping in as acting commander on the spot. And it's a very tight spot indeed. The full weight of Tom's division is attacking from the north, with one of Greg's brigades entering as support. Their plan is simple: rush the Australians and overwhelm them before Ed's British can intervene. The Midos garrison, commanded by John in today's game, will serve as an anchor to block or delay the Australians from escaping the trap. The Ottoman attack opens with a massive artillery barrage. Many of the available Ottoman guns in the sector have been dedicated to support this counterattack, giving the Turks a notable firepower advantage. Despite the artillery barrage and 4 Ottoman regiments bearing down on him, Dave isn't blinking. He isn't retreating or pulling back. Instead, he's turned one of his brigades around to attack Midos in his rear.
Moving cheap?
Yeah.
Is this your first free move?
Yep.
Okay. So 3 dice with a d6.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4.
4. There you go.
That's the way you do it.
No.
That's a base. I'll take one.
Base.
Yeah, I don't care. Just give me one over here. There you go.
Okay.
Up there.
So we'll try to activate them this time.
Okay. You need a 4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got the 4. Move, you're gonna just shoot this
Just
time?
shooting.
Fire them up.
That's 1, 2.
2 more.
I know John's under a lot of pressure in Midos right now. I get it.
But the truth is that Tom and I are kind of looking at each other and we're nodding because we know this is exactly what we were hoping was going to happen. Our biggest fear before the game was that Dave would try to disengage, that he would move back to get closer to where Ed is coming on the rear table edge. But he's not. He's sticking it out. And the fact that he is tangled up with John right now fighting for Midos, that's the perfect scenario for us. I'm going to continue pushing up along the coast. Tom is going to move out and wrap around the position, and we're going to try to create a cauldron where we can pin Dave's Australians against the strait, against the ocean, and basically just annihilate him. We'll have him hemmed in from 3 directions. And Ed, I know Ed's come on the table, but he is still a long way off. It's going to take, I mean, we measured it out, at least 3 or 4 turns just of movement for him to get there. So that gives us a window of opportunity to completely collapse on Dave's position and maybe destroy that entire Australian division.
I'm gonna try. Yeah, try to interrupt. It's gonna be tough. You're gonna need a 6. Oh!
All right. I'm going to. I can activate them again to shoot, right?
Yeah, if you pass
Okay.
your test, yeah.
Yeah. all right.
You can keep on firing.
I need a 5 on this one.
Yeah.
A 5.
Hey!
Oh, wow. It is a Turk game.
The dice are coming up Ottoman.
We got 2 hits, 8 and a 7.
Wow, that's a base, another base of Australia with an extra one left over.
By turn 3, the dice are heating up for Greg and Tom. Remember, in the rules 1914, it's possible to spend your command tokens to keep activating the same formations multiple times in the same turn. The rolls get progressively harder, but you can push your troops. Good command rolls are allowing the Ottomans to close in on the Australian position faster than Ed's British. Once the infantry do come into range, the lethality of the game ramps up significantly. Machine gun companies enjoy a longer 12-inch range, while infantry can fire 6 inches. In both cases, a formation rolls 2 10-sided dice, hoping to roll a 6 or higher. The firing mechanics are very easy in 1914, and the list of possible modifiers to your dice is mercifully short. At especially close ranges, anything under 2 inches, the firing side gets a 50% chance to inflict a bonus hit. And on the hills outside Midos, Tom and Greg are finally close enough to get some of those close-range bonuses. They're trading heavy blows, and suddenly, perhaps a bit late, Dave realizes he needs to pull back. But with Midos still occupied in his rear and the ocean blocking a flank, he's running out of real estate.
You can move like 360. There's no wheeling or anything like
Oh, I
that.
will be.
He asked how far he could swim.
How far can I swim?
Oh, I thought you said swing.
No, swim.
He would like to swim the ocean.
Well, it's not
I
far.
want to swim to miles.
It's not far at all. It's not even a mile. The width right here is not even a mile.
We need miles with like some binoculars.
On turn 5, the Allies get some welcome reinforcements. It's Chris's 2nd Brigade arriving from the west. Their arrival on the flank is a surprise to the Ottomans, and Tom has no choice but to peel off an entire regiment to block the newly arrived Australians. The climax of the battle is now at hand, though clearly not everyone in the club is feeling the tension of the moment.
I think this is it. I think we've reached the most critical turn of the game. Ed is just 1 move or 2 away from linking up with Dave, so it's going to take one final push for Tom and I to try and finish Dave off. We're going to have to commit everything, and we're going to do it this turn.
Same guy. Right?
Yes!
The 1st Australian Brigade is being hammered by Tom and Greg, who are now feeding waves of battalions into the firefight as fast as they can. Fighting back to back, Dave's 3rd Brigade is still battling John for control of Midos. The Allies are aided in their efforts by calling in offshore battleship fire support, pounding the small coastal town with heavy 12-inch shells.
And that's the town.
That's it.
That's the town.
That's the town.
Guys, they finally cleared the town.
They
No!
captured Miles.
Well, Yes, but they're about to be charged. I say we play for another 2 hours.
I think you guys would have Minos and Kalibar. Kaliatepe is still in the hands of.
I think the Ottomans would challenge them having that, considering.
I don't know. I mean,
that's a lot of
British.
The weight of the battleships proves decisive. Halfway through the day, John's last Ottoman company in Minos is eliminated. With Ed's British division finally making contact with the surviving Australians, Tom orders the counterattack aborted.
Ed at the very beginning was like, just run away.
Tell my story, Josh.
Like, that was his advice, just run away and leave the hill.
And I would've
in
taken
hindsight, I
it
should have
for
just
that.
run away and just, unless it would have saved all my guys, because my guys just got crushed here.
We wanted to drive you into the sea, and it's a shame you didn't actually go into the sea. Because these rules, I don't think, have recall.
There aren't a lot of Anzacs left, that's for sure. This is what's left.
I don't like Chris's chances as PM of Australia.
Who became the PM of Australia from this?
Well, I don't think it's going to be Chris.
The butcher's bill in today's game is staggering. On the Ottoman side, an entire regiment is wiped out, and 2 others have suffered heavy losses. But on the Allied side, the cost is more ghastly. The 1st Australian Division is, for all intents and purposes, rendered combat ineffective after today. They've retaken Minos and held the line heroically, but today's total losses in the battle are 3-1 in favor of the Turks.
It was a very short and sharp engagement. It's only about noon. Minos has been taken. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of Australians left in that town. But don't you worry. Ed has arrived. He'll probably, I don't know, come rolling into town on the back of a camel like Monty in World War II, claiming victory for other people.
Any claims of victory in today's battle by either side would be dubious at best. Both sides failed to achieve their strategic aims the morning of day 2. The Narrows is firmly secured, but it's clear that no further breakthrough is possible. For the Turks, Tom's plan to secure Minos and Kalibar have failed. Instead, the Ottomans will have to return to their line from the previous day. But that defensive line is only going to grow more formidable, and the Australians have been bloodied so badly that any major Allied offensive in the coming days would be unimaginable. The net result? A stalemate is all but certain, at least on land. What about sea? With the forts of the Narrows in British and French hands, could the fleet push up to Constantinople and complete their mission to bombard the capital? It's certainly an open debate, and we encourage you to weigh in below by leaving a comment. But my own assessment is that no, the Allies have not gotten far enough up the Gallipoli Peninsula for the fleet to pass safely. As you look further up the strait, you'll find more Turkish forts and additional minefields waiting to snare any naval advance. In addition, there is a complete Ottoman corps in Asia Minor waiting to counterattack the French on that side of the straits. And finally, the Ottomans hold the high grounds at Sarıyer. Getting them dislodged will be no easy affair. Ed and Miles do control the tightest, most heavily defended point in the Dardanelles, true, but this is only 1/3 of the way up the strait. Over 20 miles of forts and minefields remain to reach Gallipoli, and the process of clearing those sea mines, especially under fire, was not a quick operation.
Yeah, and of course they had no dedicated minesweeping vessels. These were kind of converted vessels to go around. Although there is a saying, every ship's a minesweeper once. But yeah, it would take a long time. I haven't seen any assessment of how long it would have taken, but certainly it was not a simple, quick operation like land clearing mines is. There was little to be able to detect it apart from physically seeing it. And then what do you do about it? You have to untether the mine from its cables and move it out of the way or drag it out of the sea. But you'd only be clearing enough of a lane for a ship to be able to pass through. So that might only be 50, 100 feet wide, depending on what ships you're pushing through. So again, this depends on how deep a minefield it is and how many mines you have to clear out of the way.
I hope you enjoyed our Gallipoli trilogy. Our Allied players made far more progress 110 years later, but still captured fewer than half the objectives the original operation intended. For his own part, Winston Churchill never wavered in his defense of the strategic concept.
Searching my heart, I cannot regret the effort. Not to persevere, that was the crime. The end of the Dardanelles campaign closed the second great period of the struggle. There was nothing left on land now but the war of exhaustion, not only of armies, but of nations. No more strategy, very little tactics. Good, plain, straightforward frontal attacks by valiant flesh and blood against wire and machine guns.
Hey, Winston and I, we're talking to you. 60% of you watching this video are regular channel viewers who have not clicked subscribe. Can you do Winston a favor and maybe make today the day that you click? We are so close to 100,000. And I'm pretty sure when we get to that number, something happens, right? Don't we get something? Does something happen?